Hi, and welcome to Wild and Woke Podcast. We're your hosts, Caroline.
And I'm Susan.
And this intro will probably range from shit show to wow, they really have their stuff together every single week. Well, I'm going to have to fucking move this mouse. I'm going to have to hide it from myself.
So you'll quit trying to use it?
Yes, I keep reaching over here, and it's not plugged in.
That's hysterical.
Okay, so you get to go first this week.
I am going first this week. So this week is like a campfire stories kind of situation, y'all. These
so
are
relax.
Huh?
So everybody sit back and relax.
Everybody just sit back, sip your cocoa, drop in some marshmallows, and kind of the overarching theme is what the hell really is out there. Because all of these stories, I am straight up reading stories from a thought catalog list. We would love to do more of these with listener stories, you guys. So send us some things. Because I like the idea of like just reading personal accounts, but I would love it if they were coming from you guys instead of just from thought catalog. Not that these aren't good, because they're interesting. And these are all centered around hiking, which I don't do.
I do.
Ever.
Hey, but to be fair, I just started it like a month ago.
Okay, but still, like, I seriously, so Caroline posted something about hiking, and she's like, who else loves to hike? I'm like, yeah, I want to love to hike, but like 10 minutes in, I'm hot and I'm sweaty and there's a bug and I'm whining, and it's just no fun for anyone at all.
Are there even places okay, so I didn't know there were mountains in Alabama till I moved here. Are there mountains in Texas?
Well, I mean, I don't want to say no because Texas is huge and there's just about everything.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that, I mean, what Texans typically call mountains are like hills.
Dirt mounds?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that there are some places to hike and even some, there are probably some decent flat hikes. It's just not my thing. I want to be cool enough to like camp out at music festivals. I'm not cool enough for that either.
Hey, I don't like camping, to be fair.
I require running water. If I could camp somewhere that like there's a bathroom, like even if you have to get in the car to drive to it, that's okay. I'm down. That's fine. But like a music festival where I guess we're not doing that anymore, but everybody's way too close together and it's porta potties or nothing. No.
I cannot do porta potties. I don't care how bad I have to go to the bathroom. I will not put my ass in a porta potty.
Yeah, no.
I saw this TikTok of a girl at probably a music festival, and she dropped her phone in the porta potty, and bitch went looking for it. And I said, no, I would have just spent $1,000 to buy a new phone.
There's insurance for that. That is the moment. That moment right there is what your phone insurance is made for.
Mm-hmm.
Drop it in a parking lot, crack the screen, that can be replaced. Drop it in a music festival porta potty, it's gone forever. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So yeah, you wish you could be a hiking person, but you can't. But you know what? Shit, who cares?
I mean, it's just one of those things that I'm like, why is this fun for people? And I don't understand that it's like, I want it to be fun.
Okay, so honestly.
And then the reality of it, I'm just like, oh, no. Mm-mm.
I'm usually stoned the whole time, like the hike up at the top and then on the way down. And so it makes it a little bit funner. But
to be fair, that might work, except instead of being whiny, I would just be impossibly giggly. And everyone would be like, this is why we don't bring her.
Throw her off the mountain.
This is no, you're just go get a snow cone. It'll be fine.
Oh my God.
Which, by the way, is always like, that is always a solution. And when it's not snow cone season, like there's just no solving some problems. But when it is, go get a snow cone solves all problems.
It's been so long since I've had a snow cone. And we even have like snow cone huts here in the summertime.
Let me tell you something about snow cones in Alabama. They suck.
Okay, how many have you had to have that professional
Let me just
opinion?
This is just okay. So
Snow cone snob.
I am a snow cone. This is a problem. My mom and I, used to. We haven't gotten to do it in a few years, and this was supposed to be. Anyway, we used to always take a trip together, like just the two of us. And then circumstances, we've not been able to do it, and we were supposed to be able to do it this year, and now plague. So, but one of the best ones that we've taken, especially recently, was to Orange Beach / Gulf Shores, which is Alabama. And I am a snow cone snob, but snow cones are my thing. So we literally tried like every single snow cone place. We tried one every day that we were in Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, in both places. And they all have the crunchy ice. The ice should not be crunchy. So I guess I shouldn't say in all of Alabama, but you would think that if two beach towns can't manage to put together one decent snow cone, that it could be a statewide problem. You understand where I'm coming from on this. So literally every single place that we had snow cones there, they were so bad. And on the way to the airport, because the best place to fly in and out is actually Pensacola. So we literally crossed right where the Floribama is, right at the line, just on the Florida side, there's a snow cone place. I kid you not, excellent snow cone. I was just like, what is happening?
And the thing is it's at the beach too, and that's I feel like when you expect the best snow cone.
Correct. Which is why my thing is Alabama there must not be good snow cones in Alabama, because if there were, you would think that they would have them at the beach. Apparently not. But y'all do have, what is that drink? Bushwhackers.
I've never fucking heard of that.
Okay, it is very specifically I guess maybe it's an Orange Beach thing, but everybody has one and they are so good.
Is it an alcoholic drink or just a regular drink? It's
alcohol, and it's I don't even now that I'm trying to think of what's in it. I know that it's rum, but I don't even know what else is in it. It's creamy and it's just.
Man, that sounds amazing.
We're supposed to be having chocolate cake shots for my birthday.
Boo.
I mean, we will. We just won't be tonight.
Yeah, that sounds. I'm not a drinker, so to me that sounds gross. But maybe it's delicious.
So it is a half an ounce of Frangelico, a half an ounce of vanilla vodka, and you do it like a tequila shot, except for instead of salt and lime, it's sugar and lemon. So it's drinks up. Oh. So lick the sugar. Take the shot, suck the lemon. The minute the lemon juice hits your tongue, it tastes exactly like a bite of the most perfect chocolate cake you could ever hope to taste.
What? I think my husband would like that.
It is so good. So good. Now, I don't know if any of them listen, but there are several people I know who, to this day, can still not even smell any of those things.
No. Don't make that mistake.
I don't, in every single case, I drink as many shots as everyone else, and yet somehow this is a problem. And I'm not, I'm not typically much of, usually I have, one drink, maybe two, and I'm done. I'm full. Mm-hmm. I don't want any more. I'm set. But chocolate cake shots are
the way to go.
They are the way to go. So anyway, okay, now that we've told those campfire stories, let's tell these campfire stories. Okay, and like I said, these are all straight from Thought Catalog, so I'm just going to read them in whatever version. I think they're mostly first person. So, this first one...
hold on. Oh, God. Cat on the desk.
You're being upstaged.
She literally just jumped her 12-pound ass onto my keyboard.
I mean, I saw the fur very close up.
Now she's just going to go on a little adventure. Okay. Sure. All right. I'm sorry. Okay. Go ahead.
So this first one is called A Whole Family of Voices in the Wilderness. Most unsettling night I recall was a September night on top of Humpback Mountain near Rockfish Gap, Virginia. The fog was the thickest I'd ever seen during the day and only got thicker at night. Sounds were muted, everything was drippy, wet, and it was very peaceful, ethereal hiking during the day. Normally I like foggy days. That night, about 11, I started hearing children's laughter off in the distance, fading in and out, but gradually coming up the mountain, not following the course of a trail, but coming straight up the sides. I could make out 3 distinct children's voices and 1 adult female's voice. Eventually, it sounded like they were passing right through my campsite and should have been close enough to see, but I never saw anyone. All I could hear was laughter, right up close, and the occasional mumbled word, but I couldn't make out anything they were saying. The sound stopped abruptly soon after it got close, and didn't start back up again. I often wonder if it was just a strange acoustical phenomenon due to the fog, but I can't explain how the voices got closer, why they stopped, or why a woman and 3 children would be playing loudly outside on a dark, cold, intensely foggy autumn night. I feel like hearing disembodied voices in wooded areas is really common.
It's never happened to me, but I don't go out at night into the woods. So
I do not go into the woods at night.
I've listened to too many scary stories, and I know better. That's when the children come out.
Apparently so. Okay, this next one is called Unwanted Traveling Companions. This story occurred in September of 2008. I grew up in Oregon and was acquainted with the outdoors at an early age. My favorite hobby came to be hiking, particularly in areas that are either dangerous or isolated. Side note, this is not a solid hobby, people. Dangerous, isolated hiking? Really? Anyway, whatever. This person goes on to say, the health benefits of hiking were secondary to the thrills of walking the edges of exposed cliffs, being in cougar and bear territory, and knowing that I was far from help.
No, that sounds like a psychopath.
And it sounds like a dude. Like, that's for sure a guy.
For sure.
Into the Wild was released in the fall of 2007, and I immediately fell in love. Being a high school senior, I could barely go another week living in my parents' house. The movie spoke to my sense of adventure, and it inspired me to hike the California portion of the Pacific Crest Trail once I'd graduated. I made it from the Mexico border to Northern California without much incident. I saw rattlesnakes and black bears, experienced dehydration, but nothing happened that made me fear for my life.
Okay, like none of that would make me fear for my life.
All of those things would make me fear for my life.
That's just like a regular day for this person.
I know I am 100% not equipped to deal with any of them.
No.
Somewhere in the Lassen National Forest in northeastern California, I walked around a bend in the trail only to be startled by 2 people sitting on a rock dressed nearly all in white. Their faces were dirty, their appearance disheveled, and the man had a long, unkempt beard. Both seemed to be about in their 40s. They looked like the couple who kidnapped Elizabeth Smart, which is funny because as this is being described, I'm like, that sounds like those people that kidnapped Elizabeth Smart. What struck me as odd about the encounter was encountering anybody at all. I frequently went days without seeing a single human being. Their white clothes could be explained away by the need to escape the California summer sun. Their scruffy appearance could be explained away by the fact that most thru hikers abandon personal hygiene on the trail. Let's just go ahead and say that's one of the reasons I don't hike.
Yeah.
After I said hello, they said nothing and simply watched me as I passed. Even that I didn't find odd. I chalked it up to them being foreign or just not knowing what to say. I camped a few hundred yards off the trail that night, as I always did. Following bear precautions, I hung the leftover food I had cooked that night from a tree about 5 feet off the ground. Packing up camp in the morning, I noticed the food wasn't there. I immediately thought a bear must have entered the campsite, so I started to look for paw prints. I didn't find paw prints, but I did find boot prints, circling the campsite.
I just got chills.
One of those prints led right up to the rope from which the food was hanging. I thought of the couple I'd passed earlier and everything clicked. I quickly packed up and left. My mind was racing the entire day, but I figured the couple was simply hungry. If they had any nefarious intentions, they would have come for more than the food. Several days passed and my mind was at ease again. I had begun to circle my campsite with sticks to wake me up in the event of an intruder, animal or otherwise. I awoke in my tent one night to the sound of those sticks crunching. I grabbed a hunting knife and tried to relax by telling myself that I'm in the middle of nowhere. The source of that noise is much more likely to be an animal than a person. Then I heard frantic whispering. It was impossible to tell which direction the voices were coming from. Being in the dark, surrounded by trees, 100 miles from the nearest city, plays tricks on your senses. I debated yelling out, claiming to have a gun, but instead decided to be silent and retain the benefit of surprise. I heard footsteps circling my tent and was ready to slash at anything that opened it, but just like that, it was over. No more footsteps, no more whispering. I lied frozen awake in my tent until sunrise and opened it to find no one there. The only evidence something had actually happened were the boot prints, just like before. Several more days passed, and I was now in Shasta National Forest, probably 50 to 75 miles from where I first encountered the couple. The trail became more or less a goat trail. Being on the side of a mountain and above the tree line, I could see the trail winding for miles in front of me and behind me. I stopped for water and some rare shade and noticed there were 2 hikers miles behind me. All I could see were 2 dots moving along the mountainside. I immediately said out loud, "Fuck this trip is over." Which I'm like, this is the first time I fully identify with your situation. I pulled out my map and looked for the nearest town, which appeared to be Castella, located off I-5. The only problem was that it was 25 miles away. I hiked well into the night, trying to gain as much ground as possible. I kept losing the trail and finally decided to set up camp, this time far off the trail and into the forest. I got in my tent and tried to sleep, but every little noise kept me awake. After a few hours in the tent, I heard the telltale signs of another bad night. Footsteps, whispering, sticks breaking. Sound travels far in the absence of other sound. I knew they were close, but I wasn't sure how close. All I could think was, this is fucked up. This is so fucked up. Finally, a flashlight hits my tent, lights up the entire thing, and then goes dark. I unzipped my tent and climbed out carrying my knife, yelling nonsense into the dark. It was sort of like that cliche scene in the movies where people in the wilderness hear sticks breaking around them, and the camera pans all around because no one has any idea what direction the sound is coming from. Then I heard footsteps running towards the tent, and barely made out a figure moving in my peripheral vision. I turned and ran deep into the forest, tripped several times, ran into several trees. After running for about 5 minutes, I tripped, rolled, and came to rest next to a downed tree. I got under the tree trunk and laid still. I saw the flashlight moving around in the distance. I laid under that tree for hours. I was certain they were gone, but I didn't move. Eventually, birds started chirping, and I knew the sunrise would be soon. Once it rose, I made my way back to the trail, abandoned my campsite, and walked the rest of the distance to Castella, where the Pacific Coast Trail crosses I-5. I hitchhiked my way to the town of Mount Shasta and spoke to police and Forest Service. They put me up in a motel for the night, and my parents drove from Oregon to pick me up. I followed up later with the police and Forest Service, who told me there had been similar reports of items disappearing from campsites throughout the surrounding national forests. However, there had been no other reports of the terrorizing experiences that I had had. As far as I know, nothing ever came of the couple.
Wow, that is so crazy. That's probably one of the reasons why I don't camp.
See, and that's why I said, what really is out there? Because, what's scarier? Is it, ghostly voices scarier or actual people? I mean, I know what I think is scarier.
I think actual people.
Actual people, for me, are way scarier than anything paranormal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Because paranormal, it could be animal sounds. You could make yourself believe that it is something else, but actual people, they're there. They're real. It's happening.
Exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, and yeah. And animals are for sure out there, but 9 times out of 10, they might want to steal your food, but they would rather avoid you.
Yeah, I'm not scared of animals. Like, that's the thing. When I go out in nature, I'm not scared of nature. I'm not scared of the wildlife. I'm scared of other people. That's how fucked up humanity is.
I am the person that genuinely would have to have a handler because you're not going to convince me that I shouldn't pet the bear when I see the bear.
Susan.
Like, intellectually, I know it's probably a bad idea, but in the moment, I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm a Disney princess. I got this.
So let me sing to it.
It's going to be fine.
So, like 2 hikes ago, it was when we first got started, and I was telling my husband, like, what supplies we should get for our, like, backpack that we carry. And I was like, yeah, first aid kit, and then probably, like, a hunting knife. Or something along those lines, like not just a Swiss Army knife or his box cutter. And he was like, why do we need a knife? Like, are you scared that a bear is going to attack us? I'm like, first of all, I host a true crime podcast, so no, I'm scared of a man attacking us.
Correct.
So get me a knife.
Second of all, if you think for one moment that I'm stabbing a bear, you are crazy.
I will let that bear kill me because he needs a snack. Like, he's hungry.
Exactly. I have a different friend who, her husband is, or was, he's retired Air Force now, but they were stationed in Alaska at Eielson Air Force Base, which is a pretty remote part of Alaska. And they have 3 boys. So they did all sorts of outdoor stuff. And she's like, it's really not the bears that you have to worry about so much as it is the moose. The moose are a real problem. Bears, nah, that's not a big deal. But when they drove back, she posted tons of video because they were, when they saw animals, they could just stop and look at them because there was nobody else there. They could just stop. And she has the one that there's these bears just right on the road. And she's yelling at her son to roll up the window. I'm like, see, and this is the moment in which you would have to child lock me because I would totally be like, come here, bear. Like, what could be the problem? How bad could it really go?
I don't see the problem.
See the problem? Okay, let's see. There were a couple more. Some of these were easier to believe than others, and that's why I say they're campfire stories, because I don't know. What I did think was interesting is how many of these scary hiking stories were about people and not about anything.
Do like a healthy mix of the weird, unexplained, and then the actual people.
That's kind of what I was trying to do, but so many of them turn out to be like they think it's people freaking them out.
I just want everyone to know, normally I have to really sit and listen to Susan's story, and I'm sure she has to do the same for me so we can like have it back and forth. So I am fucking chilled out. I'm listening to stories. I love it. And I hope you're doing the same. This is kind of fun too, just to like, usually there's a lot of research and this is just, I'm just reading other people's stories, but they're really interesting stories. But that's so fun because I'll get on Thought Catalog because I love those like list of stories that they do. And so I'll read them, but it's just not the same. I love having somebody read to me, and your voice is so soothing.
Aw, thanks. This is really, I like this one a lot. It's called Real Life Monsters. It's not exactly paranormal, but it's also not people. Okay. It says, I was camping and hiking in the Okefenokee Swamp. We, my girlfriend and me, were far from being the only ones there, but when we woke up one morning, we took a canoe out in the swamp to explore. It was early. There was a thick layer of fog resting just atop the water. The whole swamp was completely still. No animals in sight at all. We paddled down the waterway for a while and saw nothing else. Not a single person, not a bird, nothing. We didn't even hear a sound. We had just cornered a bend in the swamp, and then we hear it. The loudest guttural bellow I have ever heard in my life. I could feel it echo through my chest. A true dinosaur sound. We stopped paddling and looked at each other, a little creeped out. We knew it was probably an alligator, but we had never heard one that loud. We both looked behind the canoe, and behind us, the backs and eyes of at least 20 alligators had risen. They had just surfaced out of nowhere. We slowly start to paddle forward, and we hear more bellows. They were coming from all around us, emanating from the bush-covered banks, in the water, all sides, front and behind. Each glance behind us, we saw more eyes appear, more scaled mounds breaking the water's surface. From the banks in front, we could catch tails sliding into the water. Ripples of these huge reptiles broke the water all around us. We looked back again as we paddled faster. Easily 40 alligators behind us now. And we began to see them appear in front of us. 10 to 15 huge alligators seeming to block our path. Then, one of the largest alligators I've ever seen surfaces right where my paddle was going down. So close, I hit him on the back of the head, and the thrash he made was incredible. His massive head hit the side of the canoe, and I thought we were going in the water. Water tipped into the canoe as the side dipped down. The beast disappeared below the boat, and we managed to hold steady. We paddled forward as fast as we could, right into the dotted landscape of scales and eyes. Behind us, that same guttural roar echoed through my body. As we cut through the field of eyes and backs, we started to see the path clear. The huge monster that had almost capsized us bellowed one last time. We turned as we made it past the last of the animals, and we could see this monster just staring at us, watching us leave. All the other alligators began to sink into the water. The big guy stayed there, though, watching until he was satisfied we were gone, I guess, then disappeared without a sound back into the black, murky depths of the swamp. We banked the canoe a little further up the waterway, got out, and just sat for a while, taking in what had just happened. Oh, wait, I can't hear you.
Hello. Would it even be the shit show we say it is if there wasn't a technical difficulty in the middle of the episode? We are going to take this opportunity to slip in a promo from our friends at Portal 8 Podcast. Enjoy!
Hey everyone, I'm Abby, the host of Portal 8 Podcast, where we talk all things paranormal and pop culture. Do you like ghosts, aliens, and creepy unexplained phenomena? Do you also enjoy pop culture news and watching the Bachelor franchise? Well, Portal 8 Podcast offers both. My sister Haley is my go-to guest for the mysterious.
That's right. We share our theories about ghosts, UFOs, unexplained deaths, and life's curiosities. If it's paranormal, we're talking about it.
And my husband Aaron is my co-host for the Bachelor commentary and recaps.
I'm not ashamed to say I watched The Bachelor too, and I have a lot to say about it. Will you accept this, Rose?
Step into the portal with us every week to embrace all things spooky and stay up to date with the latest Bachelor Nation tea. You can find the show on all major podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. And follow us on Instagram at Portal Podcast to stay in the loop. We can't wait for you to join us through the portal.
Actually, I think that... Are you still there?
Yep, I just pressed record.
Oh, okay. I think we actually kind of left off right as we were starting our This is gonna be. My brain was just like, nope, I don't know that word. Oh, mid-episode break. What did we call it? We called it something that sounded fancier than that.
Oh my God, Susan, this might be a shit show for real.
I was like, all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm really a little too high. I need to go make pasta right now. And then I was like, why is this taking so long? I mean, the pasta was good, so whatever. It's just like,
what would you put on it?
Oh, I just butter and olive oil and garlic salt and pepper and Parmesan.
Chef's kiss. That sounds amazing.
Honestly, spaghetti sauce is fine, marinara is good, whatever, but just can't beat my olive oil and Parmesan.
Oh, and garlic, salt, and butter. Butter is probably, I've told you before, butter is my love language.
I know, and I totally understand where you're coming from on that. Butter makes almost everything better.
It does.
I can't believe I said that without tripping on it.
I'm so proud of you.
Me too, and I'm not going to try it again. It's on silent. Okay.
Hey, just for everybody, so they're aware, we filmed the first 30 minutes, I think, of this episode yesterday. And then right in the middle of it, my microphone stopped working, and Susan and I sat there for 5 minutes. I was like, "Can you hear me?" And she's like, "No." So it is the next day, and we're going to pick up where we left off, just if we sound different or more giggly. Okay, so what
I think
story?
I think we kind of talked about monoliths. Do we?
Yeah.
I don't know if we really need to say anything else about that.
I don't know. I mean, ever since we talked, I've researched it a little bit more, and I really, as much as I want to believe it's aliens,
Yeah, I
think
know.
it's just people. But can we talk about aliens first?
Yeah, we can always talk about aliens for a second.
Because I was on TikTok yesterday, and every video, I swear to God, was about aliens. And then I sat down to work on the podcast, and the YouTube video I watched right beforehand was a conspiracy theory alien. It was a short clip, 4 minutes, about the Israeli dude coming forward and saying all this stuff. And I just kept seeing and hearing aliens everywhere yesterday. And it's I felt compelled to talk about it. And I just feel like maybe that's kind of I don't know, a sign, not a sign.
A collective consciousness thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I was down to believe this guy. I was kind of buying the hype. And then, do you follow? Oh, I don't. His first name's Marcus, and he wears red, and he does news reports.
No.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to send him to you. He's brilliant. He's honestly the hardest working dude in journalism, and he's literally just posting on his own TikTok.
Yeah, please.
He is so good. But he posted a video about that, and he's just no, this guy's not. He's yeah, he used to work at a place that kind of put him in a position to maybe know this shit. But he doesn't know this shit. Why? Because governments can't keep secrets. Oh, yeah. That's true. I'm going to send him to you, though, because he is so, he does a really, really good job. He does news reports multiple times. I think it was yesterday. He did 2 literally driving because news broke while he was in the car. So he just put them up, immediately.
Oh, that's amazing. That is a real talent. Yeah, please send him to me.
And he's he's a legitimate journalist. He worked for, he has his whole resume up. All of the places he had been a White House correspondent for the past 4 or 6 years or something like that.
I wonder what he's doing now.
Right now he's doing TikTok. That's what he's doing.
Cool.
I don't know that I'm sure there's a story. I don't know the story.
Yeah.
But I know that honestly, he gives better news than any of the news channels because it's 1 minute, and he says that he intentionally writes all of his scripts for 8th graders with learning disabilities. That's his level. Because, and he's like, look, when I was a kid, I was in special ed classes.
Yeah.
And I want as many people as possible to completely understand what I'm talking about. So I'm going to write it at this level so that everybody watching can understand what I'm saying.
Please tag me in his stuff. It sounds
totally
like I'm going to
will.
binge what he's been.
He's one of my favorite people to watch because, like I said, when stuff happens, he's on it, and he gives you just the fact. There's no bullshit. It's just this is what's happening.
So now that you've shouted him out, he's going to shout us out, right?
I guess I should hang on. Let me look up his actual name so that I can shout him out. He honestly probably would. He's really good about. I've seen several people ask questions, and he responds really, really well.
I love TikTok. I've learned so much on TikTok.
Right?
I love the cooking videos and the humor, and I just love it. Oh, guess what my dumbass did? While you're searching, I'm going to tell you a story.
Okay, I like it.
I had been in Audacity the past, I don't know, 7 days slowly working on the cult episode, like adding to it and editing it. And when my mic went down yesterday, I had my husband look at it, and he turned the computer off, and nothing saved.
Oh, no.
It was supposed to launch today, and it didn't get to launch today because of technical difficulties, which is a real bummer, so I have to go back and record everything.
Okay, his TikTok name is Marcus DiPaola, and the last name is DiPaola. I think I'm pronouncing it right.
Hopefully he can correct us.
Marcus Justin DiPaola. Okay. I sent it to Wild and Woke because that's the one I found first.
Okay, cool. Okay. Oh yeah, dude. So I thought I was taking him seriously, the Israeli dude, until he got to the part where he was like, yeah, the United States signed a contract with aliens. And I was like, first of all, sir. The United States.
Have you not heard the way we treat people that we refer to as aliens who aren't even in fact aliens?
The literal shit show of the whole world.
Why would we do better with extraterrestrials?
So yeah, he kind of lost me there, but it was pretty compelling, and I just like thinking, like I said before, and I'll say it again, and I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. You're kidding yourself if you think that there's not other intelligent life out there.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we've been over this, the vastness of space and such. Yeah.
Aliens are probably my favorite thing ever. And our new mascot. Oh my god, our new mascot is an alien.
Yes. Wait, I already forgot his name.
Stuart, get with it. Jeez. And like we didn't vote on that. I just kind of like said, hey, this is our mascot.
He looks like a Stuart.
I'm going to have to wash him up and give him a little scrubby scrub because he's 34 years old.
That's awesome that was just hanging out in his stuff. And he was like, yeah, it's fine. Just take it.
We found so much. And he actually was like, hey, this could like be part of the podcast. Because you know how, and That's Why We Drink. Have you ever listened to them?
I think I may have listened to them once or twice, but I never really listened to them enough to know any of their stuff.
They have like a lemon that is their like thing, like a lemon. I was like, well, if they have a lemon, we can have an alien. We can have
Stuart the alien. So yeah, and his little personal craft.
We'll have t-shirts soon for him.
We need t-shirts for. Oh wait, we're making t-shirts with Stuart, but they're going to be like Lisa Frankie.
Yes. Okay, well, since you know the people, can you find someone to design that? I mean, I would pay for that.
I can design that.
Please do that. Do you have one of those iPad things where you draw?
I have a whole thing.
Okay, so that's your job.
Okay, I'm on.
Okay. So yes, aliens, the monoliths. We're both pretty.
I mean, I'm like you. I love the idea that maybe one of the monoliths was alien, and then the rest are just like people like me who immediately are like, wait a second. Yeah, I could make a monolith happen.
If any of them would have been real, it would have been that first one in Utah.
Yeah, I think so.
So, is there anything else weird happening right now we could talk about? I'm on conspiracy TikTok, but it's a bunch of like old ones
not that I can think of, which is actually a little disturbing because I don't think we've had a day without something weird happening.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like, I don't want to jinx it or say it normal because there is no normal, but like with the Biden thing about to happen, I just feel a little more calm. I feel a little bit more like,
I have moments of feeling more calm and then moments when I'm like, oh, this is going to go badly.
We'll see. Hopefully not too bad.
I think it will ultimately be fine because I think most people are maybe, I don't know. I started to say I think most people are more reasonable than they come across, but
no.
I don't know.
Have you met people?
I think it's going to be, you're not, okay. Movie reference. Like, I feel like I need a sound effect for movie reference. So, Dazed and Confused?
I have seen Dazed and Confused.
Okay, so in Dazed and Confused, when the one guy is like, I just want to start a fight, and his whole theory behind this is that the herd doesn't like to be disrupted. So he's going to get in one good punch, but then the herd is going to separate them before he can actually get beat up. I kind of think it's like that. Like everybody's like, yeah, we're going to do some shit. But then like the herd mentality is like, no, that's too disruptive. It's too far. Just got to bring it down a notch.
I hope it's like that because
I hope so
these
too.
fuckers are crazy.
It's true.
Like I'm laughing, but I'm also scared.
Like I said, I go back and forth between like, you know what, this is going to be fine to, oh my God, I just have no idea what's coming next. I mean, at one point, like 2 or 3 months ago, I was like, here's the thing. If I looked out my window right now and there was just a dinosaur walking down the street, I feel like my reaction would be, oh, okay, this is what we're doing now. Why not?
Gosh, I might as well go pet him.
Pretty much.
Says Susan. Hey, so I wrote down, also, you know, it's so funny and it's just such a quirk of yours and I absolutely love it. And I noticed it when we first interviewed. I'm so about to have like self-consciousness issues about whatever you're going to say. Okay, should I not tell you?
No, now you have to.
But I love it and I think other people do too. But when you're talking, you say, here's the thing. And it's just literally.
I'm already conscious of that. I hear it every time it comes out of my mouth, and I'm like,
but it's just you, and I love it.
The other thing that I'm very aware that I do, so y'all, I know, like is a verbal comma. When my brain starts moving faster than my mouth will just spit out like, just to give me enough time to catch up.
I do that with yeah. I say yeah a lot.
You know what? I didn't notice that. I haven't noticed it.
Okay. Sweet. Because I feel like I would say it a lot.
That's how I feel about like. And sometimes I hear it and sometimes I don't. But when I do, then I feel like I just keep saying it more and more.
It just becomes this never ending like.
It just gets stuck in my brain.
Were you going to tell any more of your hiking stories or are you just going to do 2?
No, I think we did. Did we do 2 or 3?
There was
I know one of them was kind of long. The one there was one more, but it was super short and really it was pretty like, without reading it, I can pretty much tell you. There was one that was just talking about geocaching.
Oh.
And, the whole thing was just like a paragraph and it basically was that they had gone to some kind of far out geocaching spot. And when they got to I started to say prize. Is that what they call it? So geocaching is basically where you get I think they just go on, I think there's like websites and forums and stuff for it. And you get a set of coordinates. Mm-hmm. And you go to like the spot, but then you usually have to like look around and find like a rock with something hidden in it or a coffee can or
oh, whoa,
something like that. So you can, I don't think you have to change it, but if you can take the thing that's in it, but you have to leave something of equal value in its place.
Oh, okay.
Or you can leave it just like it is. You don't have to take anything. So this one was basically just this person saying that they were geocaching kind of out in the middle of nowhere by themselves and that they got to the location and found, I want to say it was a coffee can. When they opened it, it was just like doll parts and then a note that says, look behind you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. And the end of it was just, the person was like, it was that moment that I realized that geocaching would be a really great way for serial killers to lure people to a specific place.
The easiest way.
Not at a specific time, but like if you had trail cams or something and you were close by, it'd be so easy. And I'm like, oh, and just like that, my interest in geocaching is gone.
I mean, it's
always sounded kind of fun. Like not so fun that like I've done it, but like, you know, vaguely fun.
I have this irrational fear of trail cams. I just, like, not of them, but of the shit they really pick up.
Or the shit that, like who's watching you pass the trail cam.
Well, now I've never thought about that before, but now I am. Thanks a lot. Cool.
I mean, yeah, things that you can catch on trail cams, and you have to, like, watch them back, like, in succession. Like, it doesn't play like a video. Like, you have to watch each image.
I don't.
So creepy. Even when there's nothing on it, it's creepy.
You know, now that we were talking about this, I do remember when we lived with my husband's parents for a year, we had to use, like, a downstairs entrance, and his dad did buy a trail cam and set it up right there. And I just, like, not for us, it was for, they were, like, scared somebody was going to break in. But every time I went to go down to our little lower level, I had to go by the trail cam, and I was always like,
yeah.
Hey. Anyway, so. Yeah, that,
I would have been, like, writing like spelling out a word, like holding a note with a different letter every time. Refresh my memory. What are you talking about? I think we talked about this, but now I'm not sure.
What I'm talking about is the Wild Boy of Aveyron. So.
I think that's right.
Okay. And I stumbled upon this because I saw another true crime podcast on Instagram, Susan Wiley. Have you ever heard of her?
No, I don't think
Jeannie
so.
Wiley. It was in the 70s, and her dad, I'm going to do an episode on it, but I wanted to do this one first. Basically, her dad kept her locked up in a room, straight jacket, from the time she was 18 months until they found her at 13. And
whoa.
She was basically like a feral dog. She had
That's crazy.
So crazy. But I'm going to do a whole episode, but I wanted to start because this one's in the 1800s that I'm about to do.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I'm into it.
Yay. So on January 8th of 1800, a young boy who looked to be around the age of 12 emerged from the woods, and he instantly gained attention from people throughout France. He seemed to be in the early stages of puberty, but the officials didn't know because he couldn't speak like a regular child. It was just, the whole situation was odd. This child just emerges from the woods naked, can't speak, so they had to guess his age. He couldn't speak like a regular child. He ate mostly raw vegetables, and he had serious scars all over his body, like he had been living naked in, like, the deep woods.
Wow.
Scary. I mean,
that is
in the 1800s, and he's young, and as much as I would want to, like, hold him and care for him, I would also be terrified of him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Because kids are kind of creepy anyway. That's the whole turn of the screw thing.
It is. So this appearance that he had in 1800 was actually not his first. So a small group of hunters actually noticed him in the woods and tried to catch him in 1797, I believe. He actually climbed up a tree, but the hunters went up and got him and took him into town so somebody could care for him. But he made an escape. So this widow took him in and was like, yes, I'll care for him until, you know, the officials can figure out what to do. But within like a week of him being there, he escaped back into the woods. And they kind of just let him live out there for a little bit. They were like, he's not staying where we put him, and
he doesn't bite anyone.
Right. And it's also the 1800s, and things were different back then.
They were like, he's probably a witch. I don't know.
So 1797 to 1800, he's just chilling in the woods. He's just roaming around. People see him every now and then, but no one tries to capture him or bring him in, which, the poor baby, I mean, fuck them kids, but also he probably just needed...
But also...
I just feel for him so bad.
No, I mean, it's just, it's a strange, like, we trapped him once and tried to domesticate him and he ran away.
Like, he's a dog. He's a child.
So what do you do now? Nothing.
Oh. Cool. So even after he came out of the woods willingly in 1800, he, like I said, he continued to run away. And according to this philosopher, I'm not going to say his name. No way. There's so many, like, weird colons on that name. I'm not going to fucking do that. So,
We'll type it somewhere, it'll be fine.
Yes, okay. According to a philosopher, this is a direct quote. He said, he walks on all fours, eats plants, he's hairy, deaf, and mute. I mean, then that's a harsh fucking quote. Like, he's hairy, he's 12. How can he be hairy?
And also, I really hate to break it to people who don't know this, but humans are fucking mammals. We grow hair. Like,
I think we had this discussion in that self-care group we're in. Like,
we did have this discussion. Like,
women
look,
have hair.
We're human beings. Humans are mammals. Mammals grow fur. That's just... But also, why did they think how did they determine that he was deaf?
That was just an assumption. So, because
That's
he could
so
not...
strange. Why would you assume he can't hear just because he doesn't talk to you?
Right. Well, I think maybe he was so wild and chaotic that they thought, like, when they were trying to get his attention and he wasn't focusing, that maybe he couldn't hear them. Again, 1800s. Shit was way different back then.
True.
So, yeah, they assumed he was deaf and mute. They also assumed he'd been living in the woods a majority of his life. He had no education, absolutely no nurturing to help kind of mold an identity. So he was feral. I mean, that's exactly what he was.
Yeah.
A young physician by the name of Jean-Marc, who I refer to as John Mark because I cannot pronounce the whole name. There's 4 total names and I cannot pronounce them. So Jean-Marc. He took the boy.
You have me wanting to look up these names.
Please do. Just look up the wild boy. They'll all come up.
That's too.
So this physician took the boy under his wing and he warmingly named him Victor. Jean-Marc spent the next 5 years working with Victor and recording his progress as he learned new words and broke some developmental milestones. So there was no way to know where this boy named Victor came from due to restrictions of the time and the fact that Victor could not communicate with them. This caused there to be many, many rumors surrounding his sad life in the woods. One rumor that made its way around a lot was that Victor was the illegitimate son of a notary. I guess notaries were really important back then. It was like a note almost, I guess.
Interesting.
And because Victor was born mute, he was banished into the wild. And that is just a rumor. But who knows? I mean, we don't know.
I mean, people did some crazy things with kids that didn't pop out like 100% normal.
Oh, for sure. So this could have
given
been...
the amount of lead these people were probably consuming, it's amazing that they had more kids that were normal. And somebody is inevitably thinking right now, why the fuck would they consume more lead? I don't actually know. It just seemed reasonable.
So after the officials assumed he was deaf and mute, they had somebody come in to examine him, and this person wrote a short article on him and basically just said he assumed he was mentally ill at birth, and that's kind of why he was in the woods. But also, they definitely didn't know what we do today medically, that nurture has a lot to do. I mean,
absolutely.
You can't just put a child out in the woods and expect them to get an education,
or even become what we would think of as a normal human being.
Right. So to say that he just assumed he was mentally ill from birth, I think is just such an ignorant statement.
I also think mentally ill meant like almost anything that made you not exactly normal was mental illness at that time, I think. So who even knows what he was meaning by that?
Exactly. That's so true. So eventually Victor was taken to the National Institute of the Deaf, which was in Paris, and it's there that they learned he was in fact not deaf.
Uh-huh.
Surprise, surprise.
Seems like maybe they just needed somebody to be like, are you deaf? And he's like, no.
Well, he couldn't speak at all. Like, when I say at all, he knew no words. None.
That's interesting, though, because once you start being around it, immersion usually works very, very quickly.
But if he had been out in the woods from the time he was, I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah, we really don't know. I mean, unless he had just repressed that possibly. And
true.
I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but I don't think that's
Okay.
the case. And it was his situation in that time period was really sad because it was the Enlightenment period. So everybody was trying to like understand the bigger meaning of everything. And he was just this little boy that they picked apart and tried to understand the nature versus nurture, but they didn't do it in a good way. They just kind of made him a local attraction. And all these doctors and officials would come and poke and prod at him. So yeah, but this man that I talked about, John Mark, he took him in, he adopted him, and he made serious progress with him. He was treated like a regular human. He actually was able to learn some phrases and did adapt to social conventions. So John Mark believed that by teaching Victor empathy and language, he could prove that these two things separated man from animal. Unfortunately, Victor did not gain a full understanding of language, but John Mark wrote, and this is a quote, "Under these circumstances, his ear was not an organ for the appreciation of sounds, their articulations and their combinations. It was nothing but a simple means of self-preservation, which warned of the approach of a dangerous animal or the fall of a wild fruit."
What he's saying basically is his ears aren't accustomed to hearing speech. They're basically like just instinctual, like any wild animal. Like what you're listening for is to protect yourself and feed yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really how language works. I think I don't know if if he just didn't have the ability to learn for some reason, but it's not because his ears didn't develop. It's just, when human children are born, they are born with the ability to make every sound in every known language. So like the sounds like the African languages that include a lot of clicks.
Yeah.
That like I can't make that sound that they make. But when I was born, I could, and so could you, because every baby, there's no way that DNA fully knows what language you're going to be immersed into. So we have the ability to say all of those sounds. You just develop the sounds that you hear the most, which is why people have accents.
Yeah.
So
I am so stoned right now, and this is blowing my mind.
This was not the night to go deep.
That is so amazing to think about. I have honestly, Susan, never thought about that before.
Language is amazing. And
Didn't you study?
So my degrees I have a degree in art and a degree in literature, but, I read stuff about all sorts of things just because I get fascinated and go all the way down a rabbit hole. Like, why do I know as much as I know about the current COVID vaccination and how RNA is attached to a lipid? Curiosity, mostly.
Oh my God. I wish I had time to do that.
I can't not read things. Look, I feel like I have no time to do anything. And then all of a sudden I'm like, and now I know all of these things about vaccines.
I also have a horrible memory. Like, good for you for being able to remember all that.
But yeah, it's just like, I have a hard time believing that if he could hear properly, that he couldn't learn to speak. Like that indicates that there's something else going on. Yeah. Or maybe it's not that he was deaf, but he did have a hearing disability.
When I hear like what you just talked about, how he couldn't pick up on language and all that, I do feel like it was more of like a disability.
Yeah.
Jean-Marc may not have had success in teaching Victor language, but he did have some success in helping Victor notice emotion. He noted in his work that one evening when their housekeeper was visibly upset and crying over the loss of her husband, Victor stopped what he was doing, walked over, and consoled her.
Yeah, it sounds like he had some sort, and who knows, maybe he wasn't born with a developmental disability, but neglect led to a developmental delay.
So yeah, Jean-Marc basically adopted Victor, allowed him to live his life fully. He did have guidance and care, and he was loved until his eventual death. In 1828, he died at the age of 40 of pneumonia. I thought that was a great story to tell because we grew up with the Jungle Book, right? Like,
I was going to say, it sounds so much like Mowgli and Jungle Book.
yeah, and actually, I believe Jungle Book was originally written in the 1800s, and it wasn't long. I think it was 1828. No, I just said that.
It sounds like the right time period. I don't know. I was looking at the pictures. I mean, I know that they're I guess they're all drawings. I don't think he lived long enough for there to be.
Yeah.
Well, in 1828, did they have photography in 1828?
Girl, we're asking the wrong person.
I started to be like, I think they had photography, and then I was like, oh, maybe, I don't know.
Did we just Google that? I mean, like, we have our, let me do that.
Totally have it together. But just looking, I mean, all the pictures I see of him look like drawings. Like, I don't see anything that looks like. Okay, so yes, but just.
Yeah.
So it's not weird that there aren't any photographs. It's not like you would immediately see the drawings of him and be like, that's a child that grew up in the woods.
The way he holds his neck in one of these is a little...
Yeah, I was looking at that, and then I was trying to figure out if that was... Because in one of them, it's really pronounced, but it's a kind of a profile, and then the other ones, you don't really see it, so...
We grew up with this Jungle Book, and it was, to me at least, seemed so far-fetched that a child could live like that, but it's not, because there's been actually so many cases throughout history. I mean, going all the way back to like the 1700s, and then this one is in the 1800s, but there's actually some up until recent times. Most of them happen in other less progressive countries, I guess.
Jungle Book was 1920.
No, it wasn't. Really?
Total fail on my part.
Oh my gosh. I mean, at least
totally
20 was right.
That it was earlier than that.
I really thought it was soon after that, but anyway.
Oh, wait. Hold on. That said first edition, but that can't be the first edition, because this, I guess that could have just been like a first edition. Okay, well, 1894. We were
like right there.
1820, 1894. What's 70 years between them?
Okay, yeah. So
that story could have been one of the things that inspired that character.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I want to talk more about these feral children, but the thing is like there's not much on them, because once they are found, they're just sent off, so there's not much information about them. So it might be like a all-in-one episode where I talk about like the big cases, or I might do like a small little super small thing on Instagram. I'm still deciding. I'll get back to you guys.
She'll let us know, everybody.
But I do want to talk about it. So.
We will all find this out at the same time.
Yeah, that's the Wild Boy of Aveyron.
I think that's right. I didn't look up a pronunciation, but just looking at it, I think it's right.
So smart. Yeah, do you have anything else to like add or talk? Anything else you want to talk about before we end the episode?
I think so. I'm going to remember something after we get off here. I'm like, oh, I was totally going to ask her about that. I don't know.
Well, you can always text me.
And you know that I will. Or send you TikToks.
I'm totally okay with that.
Oh, wait. I was going to say, so you tagged me in the guy that's like, if you know the truth, you know the truth.
How did I not think to talk to you about this? Yes.
Okay. Am I gathering that he's hinting that he's actually Christopher Reeve?
Christopher Reeve. I did not
hear played Superman in the 80s?
I did not hear that theory. I kept hearing that he was trying to hint that he was actually JFK Jr., which he does look very, very, very similar. People did facial recognition. Same curls, same eyes. Like, it's kind of creepy.
Okay, now I'm more interested than I was. Because I saw something that was like hinting. It was in that conspiracy theory group with the crazy people.
Those people are too high. Okay.
At this point, I'm just like, are you too high or did you not take your actual meds?
True.
Like, what is happening? Somebody posted something that I think that my comment was, okay, who has the decoder ring? Because it was just like, Those are all words.
Yeah.
Don't know but the pictures was that guy, and then it was like two or three different pictures of Christopher Reeve, who was the actor who played Superman, and then he had a spinal injury and passed away.
Yeah.
Years later, like he played Superman, he lived a whole life.
Yeah.
And then he had a spinal injury. So what I was gathering from the weird post and the pictures is that people were saying that he's actually Christopher Reeve and Christopher Reeve is still alive.
Yeah, no, I didn't
But
hear
JFK
that.
Jr. actually makes more sense, and I'm way more intrigued by this.
Also, and I think this will intrigue you even more. So somebody on TikTok, these youths, they know how to dig
You
shit
children.
up. I thought as a millennial, I could dig shit up, but I mean, within like fucking an hour of this guy posting, this girl had dug up somehow, because he doesn't say his name, more pictures of him and his wife. They did facial recognition on him and his wife. What's JFK Jr.'s wife's name?
Caroline?
Oh, is it JFK?
I think it's Caroline.
Wife. Hold on.
There's also isn't there
Carolyn.
also a Carolyn? Because there is a Caroline Kennedy, but the wife was Carolyn.
Okay. So they did the facial recognition. His wife is the fucking spitting image of this woman. Nose, eyes, mouth, teeth.
Okay. Where my brain always goes with these things is, what's the payoff?
What do you mean
Like,
the payoff for
what-
him? Like coming out?
For whomever, like, who made them disappear? Did they disappear of their own free will? His post indicates no. His post indicates that he, like, didn't know who he was and now he suddenly remembered.
Like he's claiming that they wiped his memory, and the Kennedys are a fucking
Poorly,
weird
apparently,
bunch.
since he now remembers.
Yeah. The Kennedys are a weird bunch, and there's so many conspiracy theories surrounding that whole family, so it could go deeper than we could even, like...
I was just trying to figure out what would be, like, first of all, who does he think wiped his memory, and, like, what did they gain from it? And then second of all, what, if he is JFK Jr., like, does he gain, I guess, maybe an inheritance if he can prove it? But this is a DNA test.
Yeah, so I think...
Like, it's just a blood draw. It's
and it
not
could
a big
be,
deal.
it could literally be nothing, and it could be a crazy, like, man in California who's like, you know what, I'm gonna fuck with TikTok. But, like, I'm here. I'm intrigued. Like,
I'm intrigued. I'm here for the entertainment value, for sure.
Yeah, and the things he had to say and the way he was talking, like...
Is that still his only post?
I don't know. Pause, let me check real quick, because I think I added him.
I don't think I did, but I know I saw the video because you tagged me.
Things are happening in the world right now, and, like, whether people want to admit it or not, like, did you just laugh at me? You're like, shit, she's about to get
like
deep.
a profound statement. Things are happening in the world right now.
Like, 2020 showed us that shit happens in the world.
That's definitely true.
Oh, here he is. It's still his only video. Oh, but he's gained, like, thousands of followers.
Well, yeah.
Oh, but the comments got turned off.
Not surprising.
Oh, and now his account is made for followers only. I don't know what that means. Anyway.
I don't know what that means either.
So, hopefully, I am following him. I will
Good.
keep up with him.
Keep me posted, because I don't think I followed him, so I'm not sure if I can even... I don't know if I can still find him if his account is, like, hidden now, but he obviously wanted attention, so I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah, I think so. I'm interested to see what he has to say, but
I'm way more interested by JFK Jr. than I am by this weird, like, I was like, are you saying that this is the real Superman? Are you saying this is the real Christopher Reeve? Like, what's happening? And it wasn't that long ago that there was some buzz about JFK Jr. being alive again. Alive again? Damn it.
I'm telling you, everyone thinks, like, I guess I'm just I get too high and get in my own head sometimes, but I'm just not surprised if anything else happens. Like, if JFK's alive and the government wiped his memory because of a deep-seated conspiracy theory, I would just kind of be like, cool. I figured. Cool.
Totally saw that coming.
I totally saw that.
Were you born when JFK Jr. died?
No. Oh, yes, I was. It was 1999. I was born in 1991. Okay. Thank you.
I honestly could not remember. One, I couldn't remember what year you were born, and two, I couldn't really remember what year he died. So for just a second, I was like, is this a person that has been dead your whole life?
No, he died when I was 8. Thank you. Which is still basically my whole life.
I mean, it was my first year in college, so.
Oh, gosh. No.
Oh, yes.
You just called yourself, you just gave everybody your age.
You know what?
And you said you didn't want to do that.
I changed my mind. I don't care.
Okay. Cool. Okay, yeah, so that's basically it. I'm gonna do our little outro unless you have anything else to say.
I don't.
Thank you so much for the continued support. Please find and follow us at Wild and Woke Pod on Instagram and Twitter. We're currently active on Instagram, but are still trying to figure out how the Twitter works. We have a great page on Facebook at facebook.com Wild and Woke Podcast. If you're looking for bonus content, early episode releases, free merch, find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Wild and Woke Podcast. Also, if you have any weird, creepy, or like, wow, I can't believe this fucking happened to me moments, please reach out because we want to share them on the podcast.
Yes, please. We need listener stories.
Yes. Oh, I have one.
Oh, tell it.
It's actually about the Queen Mary. No, I told her to email me.
Oh, good. Okay, I can't wait.
And she has pictures. Anyway.
Awesome. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, remember, all stories start somewhere. Be wild, stay woke, and question everything.